Alright, so I got a live stream coming up tonight, so therefore I have to cover this topic, otherwise the comment section of my live stream will just be overloaded. Now, whatever opinion or idea I give you right now will probably change in the future because there's just no information out there yet. Yeah, I can see a bunch of live stream videos, and I watched a bunch of them, but like, actual information will come over time. So looking at what I know right now, what are we dealing with here? So the first thing I see a lot of people talking about is the crowd was actually Antifa, it was not pro-Trump supporters. Was it or was it not Antifa? It honestly doesn't really matter. When you got a crowd of people like that, it only takes like one or two people talking in enough people's ears to push them in a certain direction. I know this from experience. It's how come I could always bang chicks way out of my league. If I have somebody's ear for long enough, I can convince them of anything. If I'm in the middle of a crowd, I could definitely rile them up to go do something violent, smash some things, whatever. Not saying I'm some sort of god with like manipulation or anything like that. I just know it's very possible through experience. It only takes just one person and it can spread. Was that one person Antifa? It really doesn't matter. Whether or not they were, the point is a crowd had went into the Capitol. The police opened up the doors. Well, maybe. I mean, it's possible. If I have a whole bunch of crowd storming down, I mean, me as a one person, am I just going to stand there and let them bulldoze me, or am I going to get the hell out of the way? You got to remember, too, this wasn't like Virginia where the whole crowd was armed, which basically ties everybody's arms behind their back because they can't do anything because the only option when everyone is armed is a firefight. Where you have a bunch of unarmed protesters, you have other options. Because you haven't escalated it to the threat of firearms yet. Now, from what I understand, 2 girls got shot. I don't really know much about it. However, looking at the footage of the crowd, the majority of them were unarmed, so therefore they were actually able to make things happen. What was the plan? What were they trying to do? I don't know, but I didn't think they'd actually be able to storm the Capitol. Whether or not they were able to hold the Capitol, they still took it for a period of time, which to me was way beyond what I had given them credit for. I thought they'd just be smashed into the dirt. But again, a wide majority of them were unarmed or at least had their firearms concealed to where they weren't openly obvious, which doesn't allow the police go to straight to deadly force. If that whole crowd would have ran up there with ARs, well, that would, in my eyes, that would be a force, worth shooting upon, or a crowd worth shooting upon because it clearly looks like they have violent intent and they're demonstrating they have the tools also to do that. Now, a whole unarmed crowd runs up, that's a different story. There's choices to be made. Decisions that have to happen, which makes the other team delay for a little bit, which gives you an opportunity to just blitzkrieg them, if that makes any sense, because I don't even think that's the right word. But basically what the Germans did back in World War II, they just hit so fast and so hard, the opposing side didn't have a chance to make a decision. Same thing happened here. Now, if they would have all had firearms, well, the decision would have been made for them. But because they had to make a decision, and they didn't have time to make the decision, they were able to go through much faster than... There's just so much unanswered information. I don't want to make this video so incredibly inaccurate. The point is, they were able to go through, which was crazy. So what happened? Well, they took the Capitol. They didn't hold it, but they still took the Capitol. They ultimately just delayed the inevitable because the vote was still made. Everything still went the exact same way it was going to go. It was just a slight delay. Side note, just taking the Capitol isn't enough. Just remember that. You can't just take a position. There's so much more involved if you actually want to change how the government is operating. We will not be discussing that at this time, but just know that. The Capitol thing, that was just a gesture. That was not an actual attempt. If it would have been an actual attempt, that I would have considered that a complete failure. So how do I feel about all this? Well, it's a mixed bag. One, it gives me confidence because I've been seeing people in the comment section for years now saying that, when the time to act happens, that I'm going to act, and I'll be honest, I never believed them. I seriously didn't. I thought they were just talking out of their ass, and if shit really got that bad, they would just lay down and get bulldozed, because I've never once seen an example with people actually acting on something they believe strongly in. Now, I'm not saying I do or do not believe on, or do not agree with what had happened. All I'm saying is now I have a piece of evidence that yes, people might actually act, which totally gives me confidence. Like, it, how to word this without just sounding like, it's not the act that I'm happy about. I don't even know how I feel about that yet because I don't have enough information. It's the fact that people acted with something they believe in that I'm happy about. Because it does, it inspires confidence. It really does, because I just really didn't think anybody would ever do anything regardless how bad it got. And that's pretty much where I sit. Whether or not I agree with why they did it or what they did, the fact that they did something at all, I'm happy about, because it makes me feel a lot better about the situation. If a bunch of blue helmets came over here and they started doing something crazy, I don't know, maybe some sort of mass gun confiscation, yes, there would be some people that would feel strongly enough against it to where they would act. I don't feel like we're just going to lay down like we did before. Or I shouldn't say like we did before. I now feel that, because before, what I had imagined in my head is there would either be like a slow corrosion of the Second Amendment, and it would happen so slow it's like boiling a frog. Or they would come over, they would get like China or something to help them, come over all at once with like UN forces, and everybody would just sit in their house and stare out their window while all their neighbors get their doors kicked in, people are drugged in the street and killed. After seeing this, I don't think that'll be the case anymore. I did before. That was a failure on my part. I should have given the American people more credit, which I apologize. I didn't. I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down, because I can't explain it any better. And I know usually when I get a whole bunch of people just firing off in the comments section is because of a failure on my part. I didn't explain something well enough. But honestly, that's the best I can do. I don't know how to break it down anymore. It's just the fact that people acted on something they believe in strongly enough. Not about what they actually did or anything like that. It's just that they felt strongly about this and they took matters into their own hands. That's all I'm happy about. That's it. Just the fact that they finally did something. Because time and time and time and time again, I see just empty threats made constantly. And the government's never going to respect that because they can see them just as well as I can. Anywho, I hope this video will put a big enough position or a big enough pull in my stance to where I can do the live stream successfully tonight, because that's a very much more important topic. Yes, this is important as well, but it doesn't have the gravity of the Case Act and the implications behind it. Anyway, if you'd like to help support the channel, got my Patreon right there. I also have affiliate links in the description down below. Just by clicking on those links, even if you don't buy what the link is for, add a little kickback for it because you came there off my channel. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.